Welcome to Anti-Fiction. This is a weekly nonfiction podcast where each week I, Christian Yates, pick a topic and then invite two unqualified guests to come and share stories about that topic. My guest hosts this week are self-proclaimed cryptozoologist Sammi Davis and anti-fiction groupie who just wants to be on every episode of the podcast, Kylee Polly.
Hi.
So our topic for this week is cryptids. And I want to ask before we get into it, but have you guys ever had a real life actual encounter with some kind of cryptid?
I had a moth land on my face one time. Does that count?
But was it a moth man?
That's up for debate.
I got lost in the woods in Point Pleasant when I was visiting the Mothman Museum, but that's about it.
That's the closest. I saw some kind of weird wolf creature one time, so I'm the only one that's going to have a weird story. That's fine. So I was 15 or 16, and my parents lived out on a farm, right? Mm-hmm. So I was coming in from the barn into the house, and I look over, and there's this big fucking hulking creature, and it's got glowing red eyes, and I'm looking at it, and I'm like, what the fuck are you? And then it howls, and I'm like, oh, I'm not going to find out what you are, and I bolt into the house, and that's my entire experience.
Neat.
But so I'm the only one that has a weird story.
Well, sorry that we're not entertaining.
It's fine. I was just hoping that somebody would be like, oh, I saw Bigfoot once or something. So speaking of Bigfoot, so that was when I was a kid, that was my first love was Bigfoot, right? I was fucking Bigfoot, robots, and dinosaurs. That was my whole childhood, right? So I'm super interested in cryptids. And the story that I chose today, I actually followed it as it was happening. So this was 2008, so I was in high school, I think. But I remember looking up just for a year straight, every possible story I could about this. So it's relatively recent, a new monster, a new cryptid. But this is the story of the Montauk Monster. So on July 12th, 2008, the Montauk Monster was found dead on Ditch Plains Beach in East Hampton, New York, by Jenna Hewitt and some of her friends who were just trying to find a place to sit. So they're at this crowded beach, and they see some people looking at something weird, and then Jenna goes over and takes a picture of it, and it's this weird. I wish I should have brought a picture, but it's this weird it looks like a mammal, but it's got flippers and a beak, right? And it looks so it's washed up on the beach, so clearly it's sun damaged and it's waterlogged, and it has fur on it, but it's mostly fallen off. And again, it had its feet look like flippers, and it doesn't have much of a tail to it.
Are you sure it wasn't a platypus?
Pretty sure not a platypus. Yeah, pretty sure. But so the friends had joked that they thought that it was something from Plum Island Animal Disease Center. And Hewitt took a photo, which was run in the newspaper The Independent, under the headline, "The Hound of Bonnickville," which is a funny Sherlock Holmes pun, and also a reference to Bonnickers, which was where it was found, right? So there were rumors that the monster had been removed from the site shortly after its discovery, with Hewitt claiming, quote, "a guy took it and put it in the woods in his backyard," which seems like the safest place to put it, I suppose. Just some dude, just comes in.
Your creepy neighbor Jim.
Yeah. I'm gonna move this back over to my place. But she wouldn't say who it was or where. So the story was picked up by Gawker, which gave it wider media attention, and it was in this article that cryptozoologist Lauren Coleman coined the name the Montauk Monster. So here's some speculation on what people thought that this monster might be. So we'll start with the logical. and we will move to the less and less likely. So some people thought maybe it was a turtle, but without the shell, which is ridiculous because the turtle shell is fused to its spine, and also it had fur and teeth, and turtles don't have that. Some people thought that it might be a raccoon, which actually is the prevailing theory, that it might be just like a bloated raccoon. But they thought maybe the legs were too long for that. So people were saying it didn't look like any kind of animal. And I'm like, well, you're wrong. It looks like a lot of different animals, but not any one particular. They thought it might be some giant rodent. They thought it might be a dog or a coyote because the corpse is kind of dog-like, but the eye ridge and the feet don't match. And then some people thought that it might be a sheep, which is also ridiculous because it has sharp teeth and it looks nothing like a goddamn sheep. I didn't write down a date for this, but this was about a year after the initial finding of this creature. Drew Grant posted on his blog a story related to him by an unnamed individual who claimed that he and some friends had found a raccoon carcass on Shelter Island and then given it a Viking funeral. Like, they put it on a little raft, lit it on fire, and set it out adrift. Was
the raccoon like their dad or something? Like,
yeah. But like they lit the raccoon body on fire on this raft and then like set it out to sea, and then it just coincidentally landed at this very popular beach in Montauk.
It's like very ritualistic just for a raccoon.
Right, and they were like, we were just trying to pay it its respects. But like they also said that this happened like in between like a competition to put clothespins on your nutsack, and like, so I'm like, okay, well, so you guys are weird as fuck is what that is.
Yeah.
Gawker, the site that had given it its wide media attention, Gawker had received the tip about the story from a marketing company, and they therefore determined that the whole story may be part of some elaborate viral campaign, and they later cited Cartoon Network's show Cryptids Are Real, which featured similar-looking monsters as evidence, although the marketing company denied this rumor. Which, see, if you were going to market it and then it like, you would probably confirm that. Like, yep, and it worked. You're all talking about it now. So those are the more realistic ones. Those are plausible. Let's get into the weird ones that I want to be real. So I had mentioned earlier they thought that it might be the product of a Plum Island Animal Disease Center like experiment or something like that. So people were thinking maybe it was like a hybrid mishmash of different creatures, or like they had like tortured this creature and then like it died, or it got loose and then died, and like it got dumped in the water, one way or the other. People also thought that it might have connections to the Montauk Project, which I don't want to get too much into because we're going to do an episode on real life sci-fi, and I 100% am going to do a story about the Montauk Project, and it's fucking ridiculous. But basically, the Montauk Project was an alleged U.S. government research program where they were experimenting with psychological warfare and time travel.
Oh.
So some people think that maybe it's part of the Montauk Project and it like came from the distant future, the distant past, and got loose in our time.
That's like Rick and Morty shit.
Right. And then some people also thought it just might be an honest-to-God alien.
Right.
So if this was an isolated incident and isolated to just the area here at Montauk, it might be one thing. But the Montauk Monster was not the first monster of its kind, or was not the last monster of its kind, I should say, to be discovered, because in Long Island in May of 2009, a similar creature washed up. In April of 2012, in Seal Beach, California, another monster washed up on the beach. And then in Brooklyn in July of 2012, there was another sighting. And I've looked at all the pictures and stuff, and they look a little bit different, but they all, like, the skin of the creatures all look very similar. It's weird, and I realize now I should have pulled up some pictures to show you guys. But listeners, like, for real, go look into this and look up these pictures, because it's crazy and it's weird, and it doesn't look like an animal.
Okay.
Like, it looks like an alien. Like, I can see how they would think that it might have been an alien. It looked like something out of Lilo and Stitch. But yeah, that's my whole bit. That's to be fair. So at this point, like, they're not officially saying that, like, we know what the monster is, but they're saying, like, it's a fucking raccoon. And also, nobody gives a shit about the Montauk Monster anymore. But I do. I look at the Montauk Monster news articles, like, once a year.
When did you say that this came out?
2008 was the first sighting.
Oh, wow. That's
Yeah.
recent.
So, and we actually just came up, we just passed the 10-year anniversary of it, too.
Oh my god,
because
happy
it was
10 year.
Right, happy 10 years, Montauk Monster. Also called Monty, by the way.
Monty.
Monty, kind of like Nessie, but it's Montauk, so it's Monty.
That's adorable.
But yeah, it's, so I followed this, like, for years, for fucking 10 years now.
Your Montag
The-
head, whatever it is.
Montauk.
I'm a Mont head, man.
But yeah, so probably it's a raccoon.
Probably raccoon.
But also maybe an alien or a time travel creature, like in H.G. Wells' Time Machine, like maybe it's one of the Morlocks.
I don't know that movie. Sorry.
That's fine.
Is it though?
It's one of the greatest sci-fi novels ever written.
Okay.
But, that's fine.
It's fine.
Go watch
I'm
the Wishbone
uncultured.
episode about it. Like,
Oh my god, Wishbone.
honestly, if you don't want to read a book, just watch the Wishbone episode about it, because, like,
Did you ever
it's
see him
basically
do
as
Romeo and
good.
Juliet? That was the cutest
Yeah,
thing in the
I
world.
watched Wishbone all the time, man. They did
Yeah.
like David and Goliath and
Oh my God, yes.
Rip Van Winkle. Yeah, I watched a lot of Wishbone as a kid.
God bless Wishbone. I wonder where that dog is now.
And so anyway, so that's my story.
Cool.
So, Sammy, would you like to share a story with us today?
Sure thing. Have you heard of the Loveland Frogman?
I've heard of the Loveland Frogman, and I see you have a Loveland Frog on your computer.
Yes, I do.
It on the like a sticker of it,
Yes.
except for it's just a frog.
Yeah, it is just a frog.
Okay, is he like
a dancing
the
frog.
Looney Tunes frog? Like the Hello My Baby, Hello My Honey?
No,
Could be. He
it's-
could. Maybe,
No, but I'm
There's no
asking like
top
the
hat.
Loveland Frog. Like,
I mean, who can say for sure? He is cryptid. Okay, so the Loveland Frogman was first sighted summer 1955.
Okay.
Back
In time a little bit.
Oh yeah. This guy saw, I believe it was 3 frogs, and hold on, I'm actually.
So, like, hold on. So when you say frogman, though, are you talking like a giant fucking frog? Like a frog the size of a man?
Like a bipedal frog, about 4 foot. About 4
4
foot.
foot.
Like between 3
So
and
like
4
a-
foot.
like a
Also,
Yoda frog.
Almost, but yeah, like Yoda
Yeah.
size.
Okay.
Yeah, like the exact location of this specific sighting isn't quite known, and it changes from like account to account, whether it was just like on the side of the road or on a bridge or under a bridge
Okay.
that they were seen. But he says he saw these frogs. They were like these bipedal creatures that looked like frogs with like deep folds in their neck and no hair on them whatsoever. And one of them had this stick that was like sparking or flashing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
So
firework frogs.
yeah, it could be like a wizard frog. Some have described it as a wand.
Oh my god.
Oh my god. Okay, so this was 1955.
Yes.
Was this man on psychedelics? Because
not
it
that I know
sounds
of.
like it.
He was.
I don't want to discount the credibility of this man and the Loveland
His
frog
honor.
monster, but was he on LSD at the time?
That's not in the story.
Except for debate.
So for debate, yeah, you're right. Yeah, could be. But, it was spotted several other times, including in 1972, a police officer spotted the frog. And I believe he later recounted his story and then went back on that recount.
Okay.
But yeah, he said he saw a creature that was like crouching like a frog, and then it stood up and then jumped over the guardrail of the highway and ran away.
So this is just like, what is it called? Mr. Toad's Big Adventure or whatever, like
Yeah, it could just
whatever
be Mr.
Disney
Frog and
movie
Mr.
that
Toad.
was.
Ichabod Crane and Mr. Toad.
Yeah.
Man. But you didn't learn a lesson from the frog man. He just existed.
Yeah.
He just stood there.
And he didn't try to
apparently
hijack a
threateningly.
motor car.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, the first guy that saw him said that he ran for his safety after he noticed the stick because he was afraid they were gonna like hurt him. Like,
They
Right,
gonna
yeah,
come
well,
for
yeah.
you.
they're gonna come for you with their flashing sticks.
Bad boys, what you gonna do?
Bad frogs, they're coming for you. Yeah, and
Just so like the frog with the stick is the leader,
I would imagine so.
and
He
he's
has the
just
talking
like,
stick.
and he's like Avada Kedavra, and the guy's like, I'm out.
I was like, I'm getting out of here, get the fuck out of here.
Okay, are you sure you didn't see Lord Voldemort? Like,
I mean,
just in
More like
early years.
more like Lord Toadamort, because it's a frog. That joke was gold.
Oh my god.
So anyway, what happened to the police officer?
I mean, he left.
Okay.
And
Casually.
reported it, and then the most recent sighting has been debated because it was in 2016.
Okay.
Oh,
And
wow.
it was while some kids were playing Pokemon Go.
Okay.
And I believe... Okay, anyway, so they said they saw a frog in the water in the river, and they were playing Pokemon Go, and immediately they were like, wait a minute, that's not a Pokemon, and started taking...
Oh, check out that
photos of it.
Mudkip. And they're like, that's no Mudkip.
Name that Pokemon.
But yeah.
So, okay, but like, did they take a picture? Nobody took pictures.
Yeah, they took pictures, but it was just kind of
Pokemon,
like,
if they're playing Pokemon Go, the
shiny eyes.
augmented reality's got a
Yeah.
built-in
camera right there. I just got a screenshot. But the picture was just of kind of some shining eyes in an indistinct shape. So it was like down in the river.
Oh, I gotcha.
So it wasn't like solid. And
Okay.
some people kind of discount that story just because that like the Loveland Frog story has been around so long, and that
Okay.
Pokemon Go being popular, they were like, oh, a frog is like a Pokemon. So that story isn't quite believed.
I mean, maybe it's the original Pokemon.
Maybe so.
OG Pokemon.
Yeah, it's the Pokemon number 0.
Yeah.
The Loveland Frog gets added to the Pokedex in Gen 8.
Yep.
So do you personally believe that the Loveland Frog's a thing?
I think it could be, especially thinking about the stories of there was actually a Native American tribe that was in this area, that was said to have a creature called the Shanahook. I'm probably horribly saying that wrong, but it was a frog-like creature that lived under the Ohio River and Miami Valley area. Or not Miami Valley area, that's where we are. It lived under the Ohio River and that area in Cincinnati, and was said to have left and come back. Now it's back.
Huh.
So let's do some frog hunting, get some frog legs.
Yeah.
So, but theirs was just, it was one creature? Or
No,
was it like a family of
multiple.
frog
It was,
people that live under the
was-
earth?
It was a river demon that was described as being
A river
a
demon?
reptile that could walk on two legs.
Same.
Okay.
But yeah.
That's
Yeah,
spooky.
so it could be, some sort of river demon that's been here for a long time. Could be an alien with a magic wand.
Right,
Or it could
naturally.
just be a wizard frog.
I mean, but like, What if it's just a giant fucking frog?
Just
Like,
a huge
what would
frog.
just
you-
a huge frog.
Maybe
and,
it got
like-
experimented on.
Right? Maybe it's part of the Montauk Project.
Maybe so.
Who's to say? Well, no, but I'm just thinking, like, I mean, what if it's just a big species of frog? Like a really big species of frog.
Like an undiscovered
Like-
species of frog.
Like a giant, endangered, undiscovered species of frog that, like, is so big, and, like, so when it hops away, they're just like...
Oh, it's
It was walking on its hind leg, because that's what it looks like, because it's so damn big.
I don't know, it just makes me feel like very self-conscious that a frog might be bigger than me. Like, like,
Yeah.
you know, being 5'1" already has like its downfalls, but like then having a frog be taller than me, it's not fun.
That's fair. All right,
They
so
said he
it's
was on 4 foot.
maybe it's made up then. Maybe it's not real.
I mean, according to what I found, the Goliath frog is the largest frog, and it is 12.5 inches.
That's, I mean,
So that's like-
so maybe it's like 5 Goliath frogs stacked up in a trench coat,
Yeah.
pretending to be
so.
one frog.
What if it's just like a toddler dressed up as a frog?
There you
Like,
go. You got trapped in a Halloween mask in 1955, and it's been haunting the riverbank ever
The
since.
flashlight that wasn't working.
yeah, new Goosebumps by R.L.
Right.
Stein. It sounds great. Man,
I'd read it.
10 out of 10.
Well, hell yeah.
Yeah.
That's weird as fuck.
I feel like we should go like hunt for the Loveland frog.
Oh, yeah, I want to.
Right?
Maybe not hunt, but I want to be friend.
There we go. That'll be some
friend?
supplementary material to
Give
the
me your
podcast.
magic.
That'll be for our YouTube channel. Yeah.
Tried to befriend my friend,
Listeners,
didn't
we're on
find him,
YouTube,
though.
by the way. You can listen to us there.
Yeah.
Hashtag plugs. Anyway, so Kylie,
Right. Okay.
what weird creature have you brought for us today?
So, my story actually starts out from a personal experience.
Okay.
Not like anything spooky, like...
You didn't mention this at the top of the show.
Exactly.
So.
This isn't anything spooky. When I was in middle school, we lived in Salt Lake City, Utah, which was the time of my life.
Well, yeah, you could float on that lake
Ooh, it was
just
great.
by yourself.
It was amazing.
Yeah.
Anyway, so there was a campsite that was very popular in Utah that like all of the, the little bitchy blonde haired girls would like be like, I'm going camping with my family to Bear
Yeah,
Lake.
yeah, right, me. Yeah.
Yeah, you.
Yeah.
Right. So it was called Bear Lake.
Okay.
And there was like a lot of like really nice, camping places, a very beautiful site. And it's like it's like not far from the Idaho border, not Ohio. Wow, geography's changed a
border,
lot.
yeah.
Like,
New geography.
but I got super spooked to be there because there was talk of a Bear Lake monster.
Okay.
So in 1868, an article came out saying that a bunch of these Native Americans, they called them Indians in there, so I was like, I don't feel like I should say that word, but I just did.
Well, we can cut it.
Right. So they saw a serpent-like creature, like, around Bear Lake, and they were like, we don't know what it is, so they called it a water devil.
Ooh.
Okay.
Fun, right? And then the damn white people came in. And right, they're like, we're gonna try and extort the hell out of this thing.
Right.
We're gonna get more tourists in here and all this stuff. So the LDS Church, that's the predominant church in Utah, the Mormon religion, decided to do these things called preaching tours.
Okay.
On Bear Lake, where they would go and talk about the Bear Lake monster, because many of the churches there believed it was a legitimate thing. Like they were like, we are going to this place, and it never specified what necessarily they did there. I like to think of it as like they were like exercising the lake. Like
right, like they got like just 1,000 priests and boats.
Yeah.
Around the
Like,
lake.
I like to
We're
think of
turning
that.
this whole lake into holy water, bitch.
Well, because they said that it was like, there was a quote somewhere that I read that it was like, it was the brother of Satan
Satan's brother
It was the
Stan,
cousin
the Bear Lake Monster.
It was the cousin of Satan. That's what it said. The cousin is Satan.
Right. He's further removed even from Satan.
Yeah. Further removed. But I also, good tidbit, the Bear Lake Monster is also named Isabella. Which,
why?
I don't know, but I really like it.
I mean, my monster's name was Monty.
Has some
because
value.
It was from Montauk.
Yeah.
Why not Barry?
Right? Why are they discriminating
Barry's
against
good.
Right? Barry would have been great.
And you'd think it would be like a big bear monster on Bear Lake, but it's a serpent.
Right, well,
Fine.
I mean, it's the
And
monster.
they're not sticking to their brand.
You wouldn't expect the Loch Ness Monster to look like a lock. I thought that was funny.
I need that image. Okay, anyway. So, but the Bear Lake Monster had apparently gone on tour to other lakes and, like, was spotted in other lakes. Oh. And I was like, damn, he's, like, taking his roadies.
Right.
Like,
right. He's got a secret underground lake tunnel system.
Right.
He's just dug a hole from Bear Lake to Salt Lake and then from Salt Lake to the Pacific. Yeah. Riding it all the way
right
out.
There. He's making it big time. The story's so fucking stupid.
Right.
But the LDS Church wanted to capture the monster.
Right.
You know, because that's what
it's
you
the
do.
cousin of Satan.
Cousin of Satan. Like, they're like, we're going to get so many people converted if we have this monster.
Oh, hell yeah.
With us.
Monsters are real. Join the LDS Church.
But one resident, and this is like my favorite thing in the world, one resident was like, hey, let's take a big ass hook and like 300 yards of rope and just throw it out there. Like,
They're just gonna catch a monster.
And I'm just like,
going fishing for monster.
That'll trick them. Just a
and I'm
giant
just
hook.
like, okay, but like you're just fishing with it? Like there's no bait? It's just a fucking big ass hook.
Well, the Bear Lake Monster only eats metal. So it's gonna grab the hook and it's gonna be nomming, and then you gotta pull real quick.
Dead. Yeah, but what the Bear Lake Monster apparently looked like was a barracuda mixed with an alligator. That's what I describe it as. Like, other people are like, oh, it looks like a Komodo dragon, which is a bit weird. But there's like, I watched a documentary on this like last night, and I was like just laughing my ass off at it. But they were talking about how they think it was a prehistoric sea creature.
Okay. Kind of like what they think about Nessie.
Yeah, what they think about Nessie.
Yeah.
Basically. But they're like, it's a prehistoric creature, and it was very dramatic. It was like 2007 Animal Planet. Like, they were like, oh, the Bear Lake Monster, it's a prehistoric creature that survived all these years. I'm just like, okay.
That sounds like one of those mystery cryptid documentaries, where it's just like, in the forests of Utah, there is a lake where a monster lives.
It's just so ridiculous. But it had become such a fad, you know, around the U.S. that P.T. Barnum himself was like, we're gonna fucking capture this.
Okay.
And like extort the hell out of it.
It's gonna be part of my freak show.
It's gonna be part of the freak show.
Okay.
But obviously, the resident who like first came out about it, like there was like a bunch of like accounts, I put in quotation marks, that they had encountered the beast. But in reality, it was probably honestly like a snake, like swimming around in the water.
Right.
Like, it's not uncommon there. But what the resident who told everybody about it, like, came out like a couple years later and was like, yeah, that was 10 out of 10, like a hoax. Like, he's like, that's not real. Which I love so much. But there's still people, like, to this day that believe it's real, even though they're like, yo, it's not, like...
We made it up! The whole legend is false!
Yeah, so, do you remember...
But maybe it's a government cover-up.
Maybe.
Maybe the Men in Black came.
Men in Black came, there you go.
I was going to say P.T. Barnum was a man in black.
Maybe so.
And...
Stop. But do you guys remember the show Lost Tapes?
Lost Tapes.
It may be just because Like,
That's a podcast, right?
no, Lost Tapes, the TV show on Animal Planet,
No.
like the 2000s. Okay.
No, I remember the podcast.
I had an awful childhood.
I remember
this
the
is what I
podcast,
watched.
I think, is called Lost Tapes, but
Yeah.
that's the only Lost Tapes I know.
Yeah, no, they had a fully, like, big TV show on the Animal Planet where they talked about cryptids.
Okay.
And it was, like, they basically made, like, found footage films. Like 30-minute found footage films about cryptids.
Okay.
Like,
All right. Okay, so
So-
it's the Blair Witch, but it's like the Blair Bigfoot Project.
yeah, basically.
Okay, cool.
So they did one for Bear Lake
Okay.
that I watched last night that was so bad. But when I was a kid, I watched it
Yeah.
before we went there, obviously. And it scarred me for life. Like, I was like, this motherfucker's coming down to eat me. And, like, we brought my dog, too, to the lake. And I was like, my dog will protect me. God damn it.
Fido's getting eaten first, and then you.
And then, oh my god, this was the worst part about it. My dog got lost. Like,
Oh, no.
While we were on the campground.
Bear
And I
Lake
was
monster.
like, the Bear Lake monster got her! Like,
Oh no!
I was like, not my Shelby! But it was so, like, we found her. It was all good. But,
And
like,
it turns out that the dog had eaten the Bear Lake monster.
it turned out the dog was the Bear Lake monster.
Oh my god. So
It's super wild.
yeah, so
Yeah.
I mean, like, so the residents of the place, they were just like, oh, there's a monster here to scare away the Mormons, and then and then the Mormons were like, no, we're gonna convert that monster, and then
Welcome to Jesus. Isabella, you're a part of our family now.
oh my god, yeah,
It's a very
Okay.
crazy story. You know, a lot of it, I believe, is inspiration drawn from, like, Nessie.
right.
You know?
For
yeah.
sure, there's a lot of parallels.
Yeah, but it's a very... it's just wild how, like, even when people are like, this shit isn't real, we made it up for extortion, people are like, there's still a chance. Like,
It's based on something.
It's
You can't
true.
just make things up.
basically. But yeah, no, it was very crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, so I guess that makes this the shortest episode. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Welcome to the shortest episode of
Shortest
Anti-Fiction.
episode ever.
I won't put this up at the top, but they'll know it's the shortest episode
It is.
because when you click on it, it shows the timestamp.
Gives you a little
So.
taste of what we talk about.
Quick one, be
Yeah.
an introductory episode.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, if you're trying to get your
Yeah.
friends into us, that's weird. Please stop. That is a pun. Anyway, so, but yeah, you can use this as like an introductory episode then, and then you can be like, hey, they're mildly amusing. Listen to this episode about
Yeah.
cryptids, and then they're going to be like, what the hell's a cryptid? And then I never gave you a definition of what a
shoot.
cryptid is, and
looked it up on
I don't
Wikipedia.
care because if you saw the episode title and you said, what the fuck's a cryptid? Google it first.
Yeah.
But now you know because this is the bottom of the episode.
Or should we edit a definition in the beginning?
I'm not. That's way too much work. I'm not going to do
Too
that.
much work.
fair.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've done it before in other episodes. We've like shoehorned in things to the beginning. Because but it takes a lot of time, and
It
by a
does,
lot of
yeah.
time I mean like 5 minutes of my time, and I don't want to do it.
Yeah.
I'm probably going to edit all of this out if I'm being honest with you.
We can always do another cryptid episode sometime.
That's true.
There's
That's true.
plenty of
We because next week is going to be our first volume 2.
Woo!
We're going to do a sequel to Conspiracy Theories by popular demand. So,
More talks about Mattress Firm.
well,
Debunk
no,
that
it'll,
shit.
it'll be. I mean, there'll be different conspiracies.
Yeah.
So, but yeah. Well, thank you guys for joining me on the show today.
Hey, no problem.
It was a heckin' good time.
Oh, heck, you guys aren't going to see me for a long time then.
That's true. Kylie's
Yeah.
going away forever, so.
Yeah. I love you, listeners. I'll be back for, like, winter break and stuff. Tell your mom I love them.
Sure, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and listeners, you can catch Kylie on Zulaplex, although I imagine, are you taking a break from that one then as well?
I'm not actually.
Okay, awesome.
Yeah.
So you'll be able to still hear the voice of Kylee haunting you from beyond the grave through Zulaplex, which is available on iTunes, Apple Podcasts,
And YouTube.
And make sure you're checking us out on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. You can tweet at us. I'm going to start putting up polls, I think, on Twitter and Facebook to see what people want to hear. Obviously, I'm gauging based on our listener count, but I don't know. Just kind of get some feedback from people about what they want to hear from the next episodes. But you can tweet at us your own personal stories. If you've met a cryptid or you've seen aliens or you've got a conspiracy, tweet at us. Email us at antifictioncast@gmail.com. The Twitter handle and Instagram are both at antifictioncast. And thanks for listening to the shortest episode ever of Anti-Fiction. We'll see you next week.